Earth, the year 2047. The once peaceful sky is now torn apart by strange cyan blue streaks of light appearing from all directions. They are not shooting stars, nor are they natural phenomena. These lights resemble radiant electronic trails. Yet they carry an invisible sound, a vague rhythm that subtly infiltrates the human mind. People all over the planet, from bustling cities to quiet countryside, can feel the eerie change. James Rowe, a former British soldier, stands on the rooftop of a tall building in London, his eyes fixed on the sky filled with these strange lights. He senses that something is terribly wrong, something beyond the grasp of reason. Almost immediately, news reports on television and social media erupt with footage and speculation about the appearance of a massive object entering Earth's orbit. No one knows exactly what it is, only that it resembles nothing ever recorded in human history. Experts call it Zerai, a term absent from any known dictionary. Derived from the name of a distant planet in the Milky Way believed to harbor transcendent beings. But everyone understands one thing: their arrival is not a sign of peace. Days later, Zerai spacecraft land in major cities across the globe. These are not merely cold metallic vessels, they emit neural sonic waves, gradually stripping people of their ability to think and act freely. Those who first come into contact are quickly transformed, becoming soulless humans who perform mechanical actions under Zerai command. James realizes that this is no ordinary invasion. The Zerai are using an entirely new form of technology, mind control, a weapon far more dangerous than any bomb ever created. If there is no way to stop it, all of humanity will be assimilated, losing their essence and free will. Meanwhile, at a secret base in the Arctic, Evelyn Carter, the world's leading scientist in neuroscience and artificial intelligence, worked tirelessly, day and night, to develop a way to counteract the Zerai's mind synchronization technology. Once a renowned researcher for international organizations, she had left it all behind to join Humanity Corps, the resistance group founded by James. Natalie Cross, a former spy who once worked for the Zerai as a subject in their biological experiments, had betrayed her alien masters and joined the resistance. With her extensive knowledge of Zerai technology, she became a vital bridge, helping Humanity Corps understand the enemy's weaknesses. James gathered the remaining few, brave souls who refused to surrender to the darkness. In the frigid Arctic, where Zerai's influence had yet to fully penetrate, Humanity Corps built a secret base and launched their counter-offensives from there. The early days were anything but easy. Every move made by Humanity Corps was watched closely by robots and surveillance devices deployed by the Zerai. Raids into occupied cities to rescue civilians were perilous and full of loss. But the resistance had no choice but to fight. James felt the crushing weight on his shoulders. Once a loyal soldier to his country, he now found himself in a war where the battlefield wasn't just land, it was the human mind itself. Each fight wasn't just about bullets, it was a battle of will, of courage, and of faith in freedom. Evelyn continued her relentless research, experimenting with neural shielding devices designed to counter the synchronization waves of the Zerai. She knew that technology was a double-edged sword, it could either save or destroy humanity. Natalie led the charge in the most dangerous missions, digging deep into the enemy's secrets to uncover their most critical vulnerabilities. She often faced the fear of betrayal, but her love for humanity remained the guiding flame in her heart. Strategic meetings stretched late into the night, as dim lights in the base cast long shadows over the faces of these hardened fighters. They were more than comrades, they were family, bound together in this war for survival. James stood, looked into each of their eyes, and said, "We're not just fighting for our own survival, but for the generations to come. If we give in today, everything we are will be lost, reduced to soulless ghosts, stripped of will and spirit. Remember this. Freedom is not a gift. It is something we must take back, through will and through action." Outside the base, the northern wind howled across vast white fields of snow, but within each heart burned a fire that would never go out. As dawn broke over Earth's sky, the silence was not necessarily a sign of peace. Earth was no longer the beloved home it once was, it had become a battlefield. A place where life was threatened both from outside and within. James Rowe, along with Evelyn and Natalie, remained busy inside the makeshift base of Humanity Corps, the group of survivors determined to resist the relentless invasion of the alien species known as the Zerai. Weeks had passed since the first battle, yet the tension had not diminished. Even with some minor victories, the losses remained staggering, with comrades falling or disappearing into contaminated zones. Evelyn sat in front of a control panel lit with flickering data, her eyes fixed on the screen, analyzing signals coming from the Western Warfront. "James, I've detected a strange signal," she said, her voice calm, though concern was evident in her eyes. "It's not from our equipment or the combat robots. It seems a different form of consciousness is developing." James stepped over, narrowing his eyes as he studied the screen. A different consciousness? Could it be a new life form created by the Zerai? Natalie, checking an energy rifle nearby, nodded. "That possibility can't be ruled out. But we have to be ready for anything, even enemies we've never encountered before." In the days that followed, Humanity Corps organized deeper reconnaissance missions into the ruined lands, gathering intelligence on the new threats' development. They discovered many techno-organic creatures, a strange fusion of living beings and mechanical components, capable of transforming and rapidly adapting. These creatures attacked not only with physical weapons but also with psychic energy blasts that paralyzed the mind and induced panic in humans. James recalled a battle near a forest close to an abandoned city, where a scouting team had been ambushed by a swarm of assimilated monsters. He recounted in a somber voice. They didn't just lose their lives, they lost who they were before they died. They became soulless shells, attacking their own kind without a shred of awareness. The sense of tension and despair began to seep into everyone's spirit. But James refused to succumb. He reminded himself that their mission was not just to survive, but to preserve and pass on the flame of humanity. Meanwhile, Evelyn worked tirelessly to develop countermeasures against Zerai's consciousness assimilation. She collaborated with engineers and scientists to create high-frequency jamming devices capable of breaking the mental link between the enemies and their victims. Natalie focused on training new soldiers, honing their combat skills in hostile, assimilated environments while developing agile guerrilla tactics to minimize casualties. One day, during a field test of a new device, Evelyn unexpectedly detected a signal from an uncharted area, one indicating the presence of a group of survivors entirely different from Humanity Corps. They were unaffected by the Zerai synchronization system and had developed a new, independent, and enigmatic form of consciousness. James quickly assembled a recon team, personally leading the mission alongside Evelyn and Natalie. They decided to journey deep into the region to investigate. The expedition took them through wild forests and the ruins of old cities. More treacherous than ever, nature had begun to recover, with ancient trees growing tall and strong, covering the old roads and remnants of human civilization. But beneath that vibrant green canopy, dangers lurked in every shadow. On their journey, the group encountered strange traces, intricate symbols carved into stones, glowing faintly with an aura that both captivated and stimulated the mind. Evelyn studied them closely, her curiosity piqued. This isn't human technology, or Zerai's. It's possible the survivor group has developed an entirely new form of intelligence. Upon arrival, they met Arlen, the leader of the mysterious survivor group. Calm in demeanor yet bearing eyes filled with power, Arlen radiated a depth of intellect that seemed to transcend that of ordinary humans. Arlen spoke to James in a deep, steady voice. "We've learned to detach our consciousness from the Zerai synchronization system. We were not assimilated. Instead, we've cultivated a new form of collective awareness, one rooted in freedom and individual creativity." James couldn't hide his astonishment. "Does that mean you've taken the next step in human evolution?" Arlen smiled. "We call it conscious freedom. No one is assimilated. No one loses their identity. Each individual is a unique fragment of a greater whole, but they retain their own essence." The two groups began exchanging knowledge, technology, and combat experience, forming a new alliance. Humanity Corps unified with the native group, bound by a shared goal, to resist the Zerai and reclaim Earth's freedom. However, not everyone embraced this trust. Some members of Humanity Corps were skeptical of the native group, fearing that differences in consciousness might spark a new conflict. Natalie voiced her concern. "We can't underestimate these differences. If we don't understand each other, we might end up starting a new war ourselves." James agreed. Collaboration must be built on trust and mutual respect. We need to learn to understand one another, not just to fight, but to build a future together. In the days that followed, James, Evelyn, and Natalie joined ongoing discussions with the native group, striving to lay the foundation for a sustainable alliance. They learned to harness conscious energy to enhance defensive strength and developed tools to help humans resist assimilation. Yet darkness had not loosened its grip on Earth. Fragmented pieces of Zerai consciousness continued to grow, giving rise to enormous psychic beasts, hybrid monstrosities of mind and machine. Feral and nearly uncontrollable, a major battle erupted on the outskirts of the newly formed Alliance territory, where psychic beasts launched a brutal assault on defensive outposts. James led the joint forces, wielding newly developed weapons and implementing strategies drawn from both sides. The battlefield erupted with violence, explosions, flashing lights, and astonishing displays of psychic power from the natives merged with the high-tech prowess of humanity core. Each fighter battled not only with weapons but with unyielding willpower and a fierce resolve to protect life. When the dust settled, the Alliance had secured a hard-fought victory, but at a steep cost. The loss and suffering were palpable. James looked at his comrades, his resolve hardening. This is only the beginning. The road ahead will be longer and harder, but we will never fall. In the days that followed, the Alliance focused on strengthening their forces, advancing technologies, and delving deeper into the study of consciousness, preparing for the inevitable trials to come. James understood that this war wasn't just a clash between humans and alien invaders, it was an inner battle as well. A struggle between fear and hope, between darkness and light, and within him, the flame of humanity still burned bright, guiding them all forward. The night sky was ominous, as if it wanted to swallow the last rays of light from Earth. The air was heavy and oppressive, blanketing every base of the humanity core. After numerous encounters with cybernetic hybrids and spiritual monsters, the members of the Alliance increasingly realized that this war was not merely a physical battle, it was a complex struggle on the front lines of consciousness. James Rowe, Evelyn, and Natalie, along with the elite forces of humanity core, continued developing new weapons and strategies to resist the gradual assimilation. The battle was no longer confined to the ground, it had expanded into higher planes of consciousness, where the Zerai beings attempted to infiltrate, manipulate, and destroy the human will from within. Through reconnaissance data and reports from various zones, humanity core discovered alarming changes in the Zerai system. No longer were they merely assimilated creatures or hybrid entities, now the Zerai were developing a collective consciousness, a non-human artificial intelligence capable of linking every entity into a perfect network. Evelyn described the danger during a strategic briefing. The Zerai consciousness system is now like a giant ant colony. Each being is just a tiny part of a unified whole. If we don't stop the central control, all of humanity will be assimilated. James clenched his fist, eyes gleaming with determination. We have to find and destroy that core. No one must lose their will. Natalie added, but it's not that simple. The core is protected by an extremely complex spiritual defense system. We'll need a combination of technology and native consciousness powers to access it. The team decided to launch an infiltration deep into Zerai-controlled territory, believed to be the consciousness control center. They prepared thoroughly, both mentally and physically. Before departure, James spent time speaking with the team, especially with Natalie and Evelyn. Natalie said softly, "You know, now I truly understand the power of will. We're not just fighting with weapons, but with faith and perseverance." James smiled. "That's why I believe we'll win. No matter how difficult the path. The human will is a flame that never goes out." Evelyn added, "We won't let anyone lose themselves. That's the most important thing." The team approached the central zone using special vehicles developed through a fusion of native technology and modern engineering. The surrounding space grew darker and colder, as if they were being drawn into a massive, invisible entity. James led the way, with Natalie and Evelyn by his side. They ventured deeper into the control center, overcoming numerous technological and spiritual defense layers. Each step forward was a harsh challenge. Evelyn's jamming devices continuously disrupted enemy connections and assimilation zones. Meanwhile, Native warriors used their consciousness powers to form spiritual shields, blocking intrusion from spiritual entities. As the team prepared to destroy the core, a mysterious figure appeared. A Zerai consciousness entity not only powerful but also possessing intelligence and communication far beyond human imagination. The entity introduced itself as Zyrith, the representative of the Zerai collective mind, speaking in a cold, echoing voice. Do you think destroying the core will end everything? Consciousness is not a place, it is an endless network. Beyond human understanding. James stood firm, unwavering. We fight for freedom, for life, and for the independence of our will. You cannot force us into a soulless collective. Zyrith chuckled coldly. That is your weakness. The freedom you cherish makes you fragmented, and destined to fall. The battle took place in the realm of consciousness, where both sides wielded not just physical strength, but superior mental power. James, Evelyn, and Natalie joined forces, using devices and conscious energy to resist the controlling waves from Zyrith. Evelyn operated the jamming device to weaken Zerai's control, while Natalie used her combat skills combined with native energy to repel the spiritual entities. James felt each teammate's consciousness merging, forming a powerful collective force that overwhelmed the fragmented control waves. In the fierce battle, many warriors fell, including some of James's closest comrades. Each death cut deep into their hearts, but also fueled their resolve to keep fighting with even greater determination. James endured painful moments of inner turmoil, grappling with the weight of loss and responsibility. He realized that ultimate victory required sacrifice and unshakable belief. At last, the Humanity Core team found a way to destroy the main control center, severing the Zerai collective consciousness network. Its collapse caused the assimilated entities to lose their link, becoming weakened and easily defeated. Earth could finally breathe a sigh of relief. Lands once under threat now began to heal and regenerate. After the battle, James stood on a hill, gazing at a horizon glowing with dawn's light. He knew the war was far from over, but this time, they had proven the power of will and unity. Evelyn and Natalie stood beside him, their eyes shining with renewed hope and strength. Natalie said, "We've defeated part of the darkness, now it's time to prepare for what lies ahead." James nodded. A new era for humanity begins here. We must not only survive, we must rise. Stronger than ever before. Earth is slowly healing, but the wounds left by the alien invasion have yet to fully mend. Each passing day carries both hope and fear. For though the enemy has been wounded, they are far from completely destroyed. After the resounding victory in destroying the Zerai's mind control center, the Humanity Core Alliance, together with the native people, began rebuilding the lands that had been ravaged. Cities that once symbolized technological advancement now lie in ruins, covered in dust and ashes. James Rowe, Evelyn, and Natalie have become symbols of resilience and hope in the hearts of the people. But James knows the road ahead will not be easy. We must prepare for enemies still hiding in the shadows, for threats yet to reveal themselves. James reminded his team, while most humans look toward the future with faith, voices of doubt and division grow louder. Some smaller factions believe that humanity should cease fighting and instead seek reconciliation, or even cooperation, with what remains of the Zerai. Natalie strongly opposes this. We cannot trust those who once assimilated and slaughtered our kind. We must remain vigilant and not let compassion become our weakness. Evelyn, however, sees things with more depth. Perhaps cooperation is the only way to prevent another catastrophe, but that requires true understanding and compromise from both sides. James stands between these conflicting viewpoints, striving to maintain unity within the team. We may differ, but our common goal remains: the protection of humanity. Every decision must serve the interests of all humankind. Beyond restoring the land, the group intensifies efforts to develop new technologies. Evelyn leads the laboratory with a team of experts and engineers, working on new defense systems that combine technology with native consciousness. They create devices to control and shield the human mind from the lingering psychic influences of the Zerai. New spiritual armor and energy weapons are also developed, enhancing each individual's combat abilities. James spends much of his time training and directing the warrior teams to master the use of these devices. He constantly emphasizes that true strength does not lie in technology, but in the human spirit and unwavering will. The Alliance expands its territory, launching expeditions into uncharted areas, searching for rare resources and signs of other surviving human groups. During one such expedition, James's team discovers a mysterious cave deep in the ancient forest. Inside, they uncover the remnants of a lost civilization, filled with strange symbols and bizarre artifacts. Evelyn analyzes the findings. This might be a clue to the origins of the Zerai, or even a prehistoric civilization that once fought them. Exploring this cave not only brings new knowledge but also raises many questions about Earth's history and future. Tensions within the Alliance begin to rise, especially as some individuals show intentions of exploiting power for personal gain. The struggle for influence and control sparks underlying conflicts. Natalie uncovers an internal plot aimed at sabotaging the combat and research plans. She reports immediately to James, who acts swiftly to preserve stability and trust within the organization. "We must stay united, not let the enemy exploit our divisions," James says, his voice firm and persuasive. Through trials and loss, James, Evelyn, and Natalie all grow significantly. James is no longer just a fighter, he becomes a spiritual leader. Inspiring those around him, Evelyn becomes more thoughtful and cautious in her research, realizing that her responsibility extends beyond science to all of humanity. Natalie sharpens her tactical thinking and strategic vision, evolving into a well-rounded warrior, both powerful and insightful. Despite countless hardships, each passing day sees the Humanity Core Alliance continuing to rebuild and protect the new land. The flame of hope within each heart burns brighter than ever. James stands atop a hill, gazing toward the distant horizon where the first rays of dawn begin to shine. He knows that, no matter the trials to come, humanity will never surrender. "We are the keepers of the flame," he whispers to himself. "The flame of life, of will, and of freedom." After the initial successes in pushing back the alien Zerai and rebuilding Earth, Humanity Core, along with the native groups, entered a new tense phase, a phase where dangers come not only from outside but also from within their own ranks and from unresolved mysteries. The western landmass, home to ancient forests and majestic mountain ranges, had been one of the most severely affected areas by the invasion. After Humanity Core regained control of these regions, a series of strange phenomena began to occur. The indigenous people living nearby reported mysterious shadows appearing at night, creating a chilling sensation that invaded every corner. These shadows were not ordinary darkness but seemed to carry a consciousness, a spiritual power that even the most experienced warriors feared. Evelyn, with her deep knowledge of spiritual phenomena and technology, began investigating and believed these might be remnants of an ancient force buried beneath the layers of time. James, together with Natalie and a team of elite warriors, decided to embark on an expedition deep into the caves at the foot of the mountains, the source of these shadows. The journey was arduous and perilous, with each step deeper underground. The cold and thick darkness created a suffocating atmosphere, but what amazed them was the discovery of intricate architectural structures clearly built by an ancient civilization with knowledge far beyond modern humans. The stone walls were engraved with strange characters, drawings of creatures part human, part animal, and glowing mystical symbols. Evelyn carefully collected samples and documented everything while James and Natalie guarded security against environmental hazards and possible remaining creatures. Through analyzing the characters and drawings, Evelyn hypothesized about an ancient civilization called Azar, which once lived on Earth before being wiped out by a catastrophic disaster. Azar possessed immense spiritual power, capable of connecting human consciousness with other entities in the universe. They had once fought an alien entity similar to the Zerai and left these relics as a warning. James realized the importance of this. "We may be standing on pieces of a long cosmic war, and the price Azar paid is a lesson for us." However, news of these findings sparked controversy within Humanity Core. A faction began to doubt the safety of excavating and studying these ancient mysteries, fearing they might awaken hidden dangers. Natalie, as the leader of the warriors, firmly stated, "We cannot live forever in the shadow of fear. We must confront the past to protect the future." Evelyn called for caution. "Knowledge is a double-edged sword. We need to research carefully and prepare contingency plans." James tried to mediate, balancing differing opinions to maintain unity. while Humanity Core focused on new discoveries. A mysterious force silently operated behind the scenes. Rebel groups exploited internal instability and doubt, spreading misinformation and sabotaging the recovery plans. Some even sought alliances with remaining Zerai fragments in exchange for personal power. Regardless of the consequences for humanity, James and his team faced a new battle, not only against external enemies but also the shadows within. The intense conflict between factions led to many casualties. Close comrades fell one by one, leaving deep pain but also driving others to stand stronger. James, Evelyn, and Natalie grew closer than ever. They were not only teammates but family, together overcoming the storms of war and human nature. Despite the challenges ahead, the group remained steadfast in their belief in the light at the end of the path. They continued developing technology, uncovering secrets of the past, and strengthening their power to protect Earth. James stood atop a hill, gazing toward the horizon where the dawn was breaking, and said to his teammates, "We are not alone. Together, we will continue writing the story of life and freedom."